Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're jumping right into the powerful and often invisible forces that are constantly shaping our digital world. If you're running a business or even just trying to build a brand online, getting this stuff isn't just helpful, it's everything. Okay, let's get into it.
So let me ask you this. Does it ever feel like the rules of the game are changing faster than you can keep up? Like the ground is just constantly shifting under your feet? Yeah, you're not imagining it. And the real key is figuring out what those forces actually are.
So there's a name for this whole thing, the digital macro environment. It's basically all those big external forces that are completely out of your control, but that you absolutely have to react to. Think of it like the weather system for your business. You can't stop it from raining, right? But you can be the one who remembered to bring an umbrella.
Okay, so really getting a grip on this shifting world is critical, because failing to watch what's happening and adapt to it, that's not just a risk. You're pretty much guaranteed to be left in the dust. So we're going to break down the key forces at play, starting with the one that, let's be honest, drives most of the change.
And that, of course, starts with technology. It's the engine behind pretty much everything in the digital space. And look, we're talking way beyond just having a website here. We're talking about the actual tools and platforms that let you connect with your audience in the first place.
Okay, so this table right here, this gets to the heart of a huge strategic choice every single business has to make. Picking your MarTech stack. This collection of marketing technologies, this is a massive deal. The tools you pick, whether it's something like Hootsuite for social, MailChimp for email, or Google Analytics to see what's working. These aren't just little operational choices. They literally define what you can and can't do.
But wait, it doesn't even stop there. You have to be looking ahead, because new tech is already changing everything. Think about cybersecurity. This isn't just some IT department problem anymore. It's all about customer trust. One little breach can destroy years of brand loyalty. And then you've got wild stuff like blockchain, this super secure, decentralized ledger that's totally changing how we think about transparency, ownership, and even what a transaction is.
All right, let's switch gears to the next big force. If technology gives us the tools, well, the legal environment gives us the rules of the game. And let me tell you, those rules are getting stricter every single year.
And wow, nothing illustrates this better than what's happening with data privacy, specifically the death of the third-party cookie. For what feels like forever, marketers could follow you all over the web. That whole era, it's ending. The future is all about first-party data. That's information your audience willingly gives you. So the big takeaway here is that building trust and having that direct relationship with your customer, it's not just a nice-to-have anymore, it's an absolute must-do, both legally and strategically.
And it's not just about data privacy. You got to keep your eye on a whole bunch of other rules. From big data protection laws like GDPR to making sure your website is accessible for people with disabilities. If you ignore these things, you're looking at huge fines and, maybe even worse, completely torching the trust you've built with your customers.
Which, leads us perfectly into our third force. I'm talking about the social, the human element. Because technology and laws don't just exist in a bubble. They're shaped by how people behave and what we value. And then they turn around and shape us right back.
Just look at this number, 90%. That is huge. This one stat shows you the unbelievable power of social media to shape what people think and what they buy. People aren't just on there to connect with friends anymore. They're actively looking for and following brands. The line between just hanging out online and shopping, it's pretty much disappeared.
But here's the thing. It's not enough to just be there. Consumers are getting way smarter, way more mindful. People are actually pushing back against all the noise with something called digital minimalism. They want more than just a sales pitch. They want to interact with brands that have a purpose, that stand for something, and that are inclusive. If your brand makes people feel left out or just doesn't offer real value, you're going to get scrolled past, fast.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got the tech, those are the tools. We've got the laws, those are the rules. And we have social trends. That's how people play the game. Now we have to look at the playing field itself, the bigger economic and political forces. They create the weather, really. The headwinds pushing against you and the tailwinds helping you along, determining if you're going to thrive or just barely survive.
And if you want a perfect example of a massive economic disruption, look no further than the COVID-19 pandemic. This chart just shows how e-commerce absolutely exploded. The businesses that already had a strong digital game, they took off. The ones that didn't really struggled. It was basically a global pop quiz on adaptability, and not everyone passed. And believe me, That train is not slowing down. The projections show global e-commerce hitting an absolutely staggering $6.38 trillion. Just let that sink in for a second. That number is bigger than the entire economy of most countries. This isn't just a trend, people. This is a complete rewiring of how the world does business. For companies that are adaptable and built for the digital world, the opportunity here is just mind-boggling.
Now, whenever you have an economic shift this big, it's not happening in a vacuum. It always gets the attention of governments. And that, of course, brings politics into the picture. All over the world, politicians are trying to figure out how to regulate the big tech platforms, how to manage the internet across borders, and how to tax all this digital business. And these policies can change in a heartbeat and be totally different from one country to the next, so you absolutely have to know what the political situation is where you operate.
So what does this all boil down to? What's the big takeaway? It really comes down to a simple but powerful equation. Vigilance plus adaptation equals growth. It's about constantly keeping an eye on these outside forces and being nimble enough to change before you're forced to. That is what separates the brands that lead from the ones that get left behind.
And that brings me to one last question for you. As you think about your own world, your business, your brand, maybe even just your career path, which of these forces do you think is going to have the biggest impact on you in the next year? Is it going to be tech, the law, social trends, the economy, or politics? Think about it, because you can't really navigate the future if you don't even know which way the wind is blowing.